Petland's Critter Care is brought to you in part by Nutrients Pet Foods, online at nutrients.com.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Petland's Critter Care. Today, Robert Church and I are going to be chatting about geckos. We already discovered that we can see in one ear and out the other. What else can you tell us about them?
Well, you can't actually see through their head.
So?
It's just a little bit reflective inside there. They've got quite interesting little ears, though, don't they? Mm-hmm. We'll get it. Leopard gecko is just one of many different species of geckos that we find in the pet hobby. Mm-hmm. However, the leopard gecko is the one that we see the most often, and it's because, number one, they're quite spectacular looking.
Yes, they are. They're gorgeous.
Fairly easy to handle. For the most part, and they live for a long, long time. Leopard geckos will live for 15 or 20 years if you take proper care of them. We can keep them in pairs as long as you sort of raise them up together. Okay. A little harder to introduce them unless you're, breeding them. So gotcha. You can have one or two, and insectivorous for the most part. So we'll be feeding them crickets and mealworms, and but they'll also eat a little bit of vegetation and things as well. Originally from northern India and Pakistan and Afghanistan, now we find them as, again, one of the most popular pet reptiles in the hobby. So just a fun little animal.
What's the story behind his tail? It's purple and quite interesting.
They geckos and oh, easy, buddy. Here we go. Geckos have a nice fat tail because it actually, if a fox or a hawk or a predator is coming at them, a lot of times they'll mistake the tail for the head because that's where they're going to pounce. They'll pounce on the tail thinking it's the head. The little gecko will just drop his tail. I like you, but goodbye. He'll scoot off to safety. The hawk will wind up with a little tail hunk, and then the gecko won't regenerate another tail. Okay. It'll kind of stunt his growth, but he will at least be alive, and he would still be able to breed and everything. So just won't have his tail.
And what about the cave you have here? What's the story behind that? What makes this beneficial to them?
Well, leopard geckos are a little bit more nocturnal, and so they are going to come out a little bit more at nighttime. And I really like this little cave, if we can find the front piece for it, because what they'll do is they'll go and they'll sleep inside the cave, and then you can take the front off and you can watch them. Just a neat little way to make them feel safe and secure and still observe them. One last thing is because they're nocturnal, they don't need the specialized ultraviolet lighting that, say, your bearded dragons or your daytime reptiles are going to need. So a little simpler to look after, 15-gallon aquarium.
Less high maintenance.
Less high maintenance, yes. But again, do your homework, right?
As always, yes, do your homework. It's important to research any pet that you're getting. Thank you so much, Robert, and we'll see you next time on Petland's Critter Care.
Petland's Critter Care is brought to you in part by Nutrients Pet Foods, online at nutrients.com.